Hello, hello! Today I want to talk about one of my favorite things in the world, comics! More specifically, I want to talk about the webtoon I've been working on for almost a year now. It's called Super Cutie Sunday Force, and as the title suggests, it's a parody of the magical girl genre. It's a short-form comic, meaning each episode is a goofy little joke and doesn't have a continuous plot. I thought it might be fun to take you along with me on my comic-making process journey, and share some of the things I've been learning about comic making too. Let's get started. Before anything else, I have to come up with a joke. I have a spreadsheet where I keep my ideas, as well as a calendar for posting. Whenever I think of a joke or something that I think might make a good comic, I jot it down in the spreadsheet for safekeeping. This week's comic is about the team deciding they want to change up their look and end up turning into leather-clad, biker-looking folks. The punchline is that because of how tall and stiff their mohawks are, they can't go fight the villain. Sometimes it can be a little tough trying to figure out how to squeeze a whole tiny story into 4 panels, but in this case it came naturally. So, while we're in the beginning stages of this comic, I wanted to talk about why you should start a comic. I started Super Cutie Sunday Force because I had designed a team of 3 really cute magical girls. But then I thought it would be funny if they were off the wall and crazy like Pop Team Epic or DG Carrot. I kept thinking of little jokes for it, and characters, and backstories, and I really fell in love with it. I originally felt held back by doubting my sense of humor and worrying no one would think it was funny. But then I chose to spin that feeling of doubt and use Super Cutie Sunday Force as a way for me to build confidence in myself as a writer and artist. And I'm very glad I made that choice. It's so rewarding to see a finished comic and share it with others. I have received so many wonderful comments from readers who are enjoying my work, and that is something I will never take for granted. So comic tip number 1 is to pick a goal for what you want your comic to do for you, whether it be to help you get better at writing dialogue, drawing expressions, or completing something. Next up is line art. I'm the kind of person who finds doing line art relaxing, so I really enjoy this step. There's just something so satisfying about seeing everything tidied up and start to come together. Make sure you take advantage of layers when doing your line art too. I'm always adding a new layer and merging it down once everything looks neat. My next topic in comic making is finding inspiration for your comic. Once you've set your goal for yourself, what do you make with it? I'm someone who is constantly coming up with ideas for stories and other things, so if I'm ever in a need for material, I usually have something on the back burner I can use. But I know everyone is different and coming up with stories can be really challenging. Comic tip number 2 is to check out other comics and shows. I know this might feel really obvious, but it isn't always. When making a comic, you can get really caught up in the idea that you want it to be original and your own, and that can lead to shutting out others' work. Sometimes when it's time to sit down and sketch my comic, I feel stuck and uninspired. When that happens, I pick up one of my volumes of Pop Team Epic and read through some of the comics. Seeing the crazy antics of Papuko and Pipimi helps me loosen up and think of wacky things for my own characters to do. So, when you feel stuck creatively, open up Webtoon and read some comics, or go to the bookstore. Alright, now we're on to coloring. This is the part that really brings the comic to life. I start with the background colors to set my mood. For this comic, I start off with my normal pastel yellow to set the precedent for how the comic usually looks. Then panel 2 is bright red to be bold and jarring to show the shift in appearance. Then I use darker blues for the last 2 panels to keep with the new moody tone. This particular comic was really fun for me to color, since I'm so used to all my pastel pinks and yellows, so switching it to dark browns and blues was a really different experience. I keep coloring this comic very simple on purpose for 2 reasons: style and productivity. I think the simple chibi style I use works really well with short-form comics. I feel that doing something more detailed is better suited for long-form comics. Also, keeping everything simple keeps making the comics easy. If I added the pressure of needing hyper-realistic backgrounds and lifelike shading, I wouldn't be able to put this comic out every week, and it would make it way more stressful for me. A big struggle for making a comic is staying motivated. The way I stay motivated is by putting aside a specific time block every week to make me do my comic. It was a little tricky at first, since it was adding something new to my schedule, but once I did it a few weeks in a row, it stuck. It would honestly feel super weird for me to not do it at this point. So, comic tip number 3 is to create a routine that works for you. Maybe it's just 30 minutes every day, or 2 hours one day. Hooray! The comic is done! Now it's time to post it! I always schedule postings since I always finish them a few days ahead of time, and I think it's nice to have some space away from your art before you post it. Now it's time for comic tip number 4. Post when people are looking. That might sound redundant, but on sites like Webtoon, your post is put at the top with a bunch of others when posted, giving you an opportunity to reach some new viewers. If you're posting at 2 a.m., you might get some people, but not others. Something else that's important is finding when your audience is on Webtoon. I have found that a good time for me to post is 9 or 10 p.m. EST. But make sure you change it when you're posting every now and then to see if you can reach anyone new. So, to wrap things up, I love making comics. I think it can be a valuable and rewarding thing for any artist to try. Seeing a story come together, especially your own story, is something I find exhilarating. I hope this video gave you some insight on how to make a comic and some other little tips. Let me know in the comments below if you have any comic making advice or a comic you love. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.